Hey Internet, it's 2 a.m. on a Friday. It's Friday, and seems like as good a time as any to record a video. So here we are. I decided that today's video will serve three main purposes. It will be my debut making videos, posting them on the YouTubes. It will also be me playing with my webcam for really the first time, for better or for worse. Probably for worse. But and last but not least, perhaps most importantly, is this little guy here. It will be serving as a working review analysis type thing of the new Wes Anderson movie, Moonrise Kingdom. So, without more ado, formalities, let's jump right in. And I am going to start it with a pretty bold claim. I'm going to say that Moonrise Kingdom is one of the top five, if not the number one movie, in my opinion, that I have seen in the last 3 years, which is a pretty bold claim for anyone to make at any time. But it falls into that category and that chance to, reach the pinnacle for two main reasons. And that is the production behind it, like the cast and how well it's executed and directed, and also the storyline and how well it's written and how well that then translates to the performance on screen by the actors. So, first of all is production.
Yay!
The part of this movie's production that is the most absolutely mind blowing to me is the cast. I mean, it's just otherworldly. When you look at it, there shouldn't be this many people who are this great at what they do in one place, and there just are, and it's awesome. Sorry, got carried away. But Wes Anderson and the casting company did really well to get a perfect blend of experience and talent, but also to have those newer actors and actresses who haven't really established themselves but are still plenty talented. As an example, the actor and actresses that played the main two 12-year-olds were actually around 13 at the time they played the roles, as opposed to Ralph Macchio and being 30 playing the Karate Kid. We actually have people of the correct age playing the correct parts. This isn't 90210 or anything either. But the cast list itself, just to read a few names: Bruce Willis, Edward Norton, Bill Murray, Jason Schwartzman. It just goes on, and you see that they've somehow gotten all of these people to sign on for one movie, and that's because this one movie is a great movie. And when Bruce Willis is playing the deputy and not the die-hard sort of cop, Bill Murray's playing the sad sack of a dad. Jason Schwartzman, from Scott Pilgrim fame, also from Coconut Records, is playing a quirky cousin. I mean, the cast itself was so well executed when put together that they act like one well-oiled machine. A very tight ship was ran, and everything is executed perfectly. And they're all such great actors that they have the quirks all down to a science. And each of their characters is very distinct, and that's something that's wonderful to see from a company that you would expect it from, but not to the degree that it's executed. It's that much better than what you would expect. And the cast list, while being impressive, does not make the movie. I mean, there's so much more to it. Something that is really impressive is that in traditional Wes Anderson style, he shows up with lots of those cutaways where you can see half into a building or half into a ship, and he has lots of wide angles with lots of scenery where at some points the characters are just these tiny little blips on the screen in the middle of this vast panoramic view, because the scenery and what's happening around the characters is equally as important to him as a director than what the characters themselves are doing, which is huge. And we see that he really spared no expense and went kind of all the way in making sure that was possible in filming on location, and that's not something rare for film crews to do. But Wes Anderson picks these specific locations so well. He actually admits that the starting really segments of looking for where Moonrise Kingdom would be filmed happened on Google Earth, but then he went and drove those areas to make sure they were right, and he did incredibly well to do so. But the cinematography behind it means that he combines all of these very distinct Wes Anderson things, like the constant use of typeset and the cutaways that he uses, the wide angles, and my personal favorite, those campy special effects that you see. That, contrary to what campy special effects should do, you don't say, "Ugh, what an awful special effect that was. It was the worst explosion I've ever seen." You say, "That was really great that he chose a bad special effect on purpose." Where clearly at times they're using cartoons or they're using little clay houses. It's just, there's something endearing to it, and it seems more from the heart, almost like it was a homemade feature as opposed to this Hollywood blockbuster that it really is. And it's something about the personalization down to that level that makes it feel, on a viewer to viewer basis, more directly geared to us, which is something that, as a consumer, and especially a movie consumer myself, is something I want. I want a very personal feeling experience, and Wes Anderson and everyone involved in this film did an absolutely wonderful job to make every person be able to feel like this was speaking to them because of that.
But wait, there's more.
And while the production alone could be enough to make it a really impressive movie, average, make it a 3-star movie just by the production alone, it doesn't get to be a great movie without having both actors that execute really well and then a great storyline. The best actor in the world can't make certain things good, but we see that the Moonrise Kingdom doesn't fall short here at all. In fact, I think it's put together better storyline wise in the way that pertains to how they act than just putting those people together in the areas they were already. The story is better than the production, which is a big, big statement, but it's very much true. Just to give a little backstory, Moonrise Kingdom really focuses on two main characters, and that's Sam Shakusky and Susie Bishop, two 12-year-old adolescents on the island of New Penzance, a fictional island in New England in 1965. And it sort of analyzes their relationship and their isolation from their own families and why they gravitate toward each other. And it becomes an analysis and sort of a look at isolation, aloneness, and also, somewhat unexpectedly, from thinking about isolation and aloneness, it's also an analysis of adolescent intimacy and what it takes for a precocious little child to grow up uninhibited. And yes, on paper, I will grant you that a movie about adolescent intimacy sounds so incredibly awkward. But there, I think, to a degree, it's supposed to be. And they do the awkward so incredibly well that as a viewer, you're not uncomfortable, but rather you feel the awkward with them as opposed to at them. It harkens back to when we were all awkward 12-year-olds trying to figure out what intimacy as a 12-year-old was all about. And I know that watching this movie created a very palpable, right there in front of me feeling of being so incredibly glad that I'm not 12 years old anymore and that I've figured out at least some of the questions I had then. Uh, and it's really great, not just the exploration of what it is to be young, but to think you're in love with something and how do you express that. But it's also the growth of precocious, wise, beyond their years children, which is something that, if you look around you, I mean, the world is full of them. And seeing it happen on the screen is just great because these kids say such witty things, and no, they aren't their own remarks. They were written by fully grown adults, but they deliver them with such sincerity you'd never know. At one point, the character that Jared Gilman plays, Sam Shakusky, says, I love you, but you don't know what you're talking about. And this is and just delivered in the way it was by a 12-year-old to another 12-year-old. There's something so fundamentally wrong about it that they're claiming to love each other, and eventually, at one point, spoiler alert, they actually get married in here as 12-year-olds, and it's just the lead up to that is just such a wonderful look at what being a 12-year-old feels like. And I think this is the first movie I've ever seen that pinned down all of the awful, awkward things about being 12 years old and also managed to put those in really good perspective with all the things about being 12 years old that you should really relish in and enjoy. And as a fully grown man, Wes Anderson is able to convey this through two 12-year-olds, and that's just so impressive to me. But the problem exists that even with the very greatest of things, sometimes they just can't be explained. And Moonrise Kingdom is more of an experience that someone should have for themselves than something they should be told about. Because as much as I would love to be able to convey to you everything in that movie that makes it worth watching, I don't think I actually possess the ability to do so. So, YouTube viewer, you should go watch Moonrise Kingdom now. Okay, well, not now. Your theater probably isn't open, but the next possible viewing, please go watch it. It's a great experience. If you disagree, feel free to leave a response. But you should watch Moonrise Kingdom. You should watch any more videos I post on this channel. And we should be friends. Thanks. Have a good night.